You've got some capital, you're thinking of investing in real estate in the Somerville, Boston area, but you're not sure, should I go the condo route or should I go the multifamily route? In today's video, I'm gonna break down the pluses and minuses to both going the condo route and multi route. There's not really a right answer. It just kind of depends on what your risk tolerance is, how involved you want to get in the process, and a little bit more. So I'm gonna break down both the condo and multi piece of it. If you don't know me, my name is Jankowitz. I'm a realtor based in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts. I've closed over 300 transactions in the last 3 years. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I also have a Calendly link in the description. So if you want to set up a quick 15-minute chat, I'm happy to talk about anything real estate or Somerville, Cambridge related. Without further ado, let's get into the video. First off, let's talk about condos. And let's start off by talking about why a lot of buyers sometimes will be attracted to buying a condo as an investment. And I think the first thing is, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, if you're buying a condo in Somerville or Cambridge, it will be cheaper than a multifamily. So there's a lower price to entry, and therefore there are more buyers that will go the condo route to start. So it's easier to get in. And that's one thing that might draw someone as an investor to condos. The next is a lot of investors see condo, they have an HOA fee, which oftentimes will cover most, if not all, of the upkeep of the exterior and common areas wrapped in. So they're like, I can pay $300, it'll cover most of the day-to-day stuff. So I don't have to worry about things like landscaping and snow removal and making everything look nice. I can just kind of set it and forget it. So they kind of see it as more passive. I also think some investors see condos as a property type where it's one unit, it's one group of tenants. That's going to be a lot less headaches than if I get a 3-family and I have 3 different sets of tenants, that's 3 leases, 3 potential sets of problems that could be coming up throughout the year. So they see it as like, it's more passive in their mind. So I think that's really the big piece of it, right? It's the hands-off component, it's cheaper, and in their mind, they see it as like almost like a purely passive investment. But there are some potential risks that I kind of wanted to go into here. And the first one is special assessments. When you're buying a condo, there's always the risk of a special assessment. That can be very expensive. We're talking sometimes 5, 10. I've seen as much as $40,000, $50,000. I'm not joking. Sometimes it can mean an increase in monthly payments or both. So it could be, $10,000 plus instead of $300, it's $600 a month for however long it takes to pay that off. So it can be very, very expensive. You lose a lot of control. So when you're a condo owner, there are multiple people who are voting on decisions, and people don't always make decisions that in alignment with what you're hoping to do. Sometimes that means spending more money than you'd hope for. Sometimes that means going with a more intense project that could be loud and really jarring in a way that you prefer maybe a smaller fix. So a lot of times you lose a lot of control of the process. That can result in disrupting tenants. It can also affect actually how much rent you can get, because if there's a lot of disruptions, you may have to reduce rent because the property just simply isn't as valuable anymore. The other thing is rules and regulations can change. Depending on who is on the board of trustees, they can change the rules in that condo, and those rules could affect your tenants. It could affect the value of your property. So you just have to really recognize that you're going to lose some control with a condo. But what generally say for condos is I think it's best for someone who has a really busy life. Maybe they work a lot, maybe they have a large family, maybe they're out of state or out of the country, and they also recognize they're not going to be maxing out their returns and getting as much as they possibly could, but they're parking their cash, if they buy right, in a relatively safe investment that is at least closer to passive than a multifamily. But to be clear, it's not passive, it's active. You will still have to do work. You just have a few things that you don't have to do. The second piece here is multis. Let's talk about multis for a second now. On the multifamily side of things, why are investors drawn to multis? Well, the first thing is when you own a multi, you have full control over the asset. You own the property, you own the land, you own all the units, whether it's a 2 or 3 family or whatever it may be, and it's all yours. So you can decide exactly when you want to put in a new roof, exactly how much you want to pay, how many vendors you want to send out there, and ultimately who does the work. You have so much control that you can do exactly what you want when you want to, and a lot of people are drawn to that. They also tend to have the best returns. From a price per unit perspective is how I kind of like to think of it. If you could buy a condo for say $700,000, you might be able to buy a 3-family that's say $1.8 million. So you're actually paying say $600,000 for 3 units instead of 1 unit that's $700,000. So in a sense, you're paying $300,000 less for 3 units. That's now back in your pocket, but you likely can get the same kind of rent for that unit if we're kind of comparing apples to apples there. So generally, you're going to get more money most of the time. The other thing is that because you have multiple streams of revenue coming through multiple units, whether it's 2 units or 3 units, that's going to help sort of offset some risk there. If you have a condo and you're paying the mortgage on that, you're paying the have property taxes, the HOA, etc. That's a lot to pay every single month if the thing isn't paid off. And if the unit becomes vacant, during COVID, we had some situations where units were vacant and you're sitting, that's a lot of risk that you're running into. But if you have, say, 3 units and one of those units is vacant, but the other 2 rent is coming in, it kind of offsets your risk a little bit. And so in the end, you typically are going to, again, ultimately have a better return year over year when you have multiple units to kind of sort of hedge that risk a little bit. The other thing, I'm not going to get into it too much in this video. I'll do another video on this, but when you're paying more for an investment property, there are some potential tax benefits depending on your life situation. Again, not going to get into the specifics, but understand by paying more, there actually can be some benefits in terms of tax write-offs in a sense. And again, I won't get into the specifics, that's for another video, but that's just something to be aware of as well. The flip side, of course, of multi is there's a number of risks. And the first is, just like with condos, have other people who are taking care of a lot of these things by just paying an HOA. Well, because you own the whole property, it's all on you now. So that means that you're going to be taking on all of the issues that come up, whether it's maintenance. You're going to be responsible for landscaping and snow removal in most cases. So you're going to be doing a lot more work. It's a more active investment. In fact, it's the most active investment you could really imagine. And a lot of buyers, unfortunately, that I meet don't always realize that going into it. You're going to be dealing also with more people because you have 2 or 3 units most likely, if not more. So you have more people who are calling you potentially with issues. You have more leases to sign. You have more payments that you need to keep track of, making sure they're coming in and out and returning payments when people leave. You have more turnover costs in terms of cleaning. So there's just more to do in general. In general, what's sort of my takeaway? I think that if in an ideal world, if you have tons of bandwidth, if you have the funds, and I really need to stress this, you need to really enjoy what you're doing, having a good relationship with tenants, taking good care of the property. It's a job and it takes time, but if you enjoy it, it can be extremely gratifying for you and it can be financially very rewarding. So if you're one of those people, I would say go for a multifamily. If you're someone who you're like, I'm already up to here with stuff to do, I have no time on my plate, I might be moving away in a year or 2, out of state or out of country, my life situation is up in the air, it's probably best to go with a condo. It's going to be a lot less stressful. You're certainly going to make a lot less, but that's ultimately a decision for you to make. But again, for me, if you're going to be here for a very long time, you want to max out your returns, you got to go multi. That's just my opinion. But if things are up in the air, too busy, go condo. If you have specific scenarios you want to run by me, because every scenario is a little different, feel free to hit me up on my Calendly. There's a link below. If you like this video, please also subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, see you guys later.